Hey everyone, and welcome back to Efficient Gaming. Please ignore the mess behind me. Amongst other things this week, I am putting carpet tiles down in my bedroom and hallway. So yeah, bit busy this week, but we found time to do this nevertheless. So this week is Monster Week 10, and it is on Arachase, or I hope that's how you pronounce it. I actually had a thought earlier that would be a really great addition to the game if they put inside the bestiary a pronunciation for each of the monsters. It would really make me feel better about saying them all to you. But anyway, let's check out the time tasks for this week, which is week 10, Arachase. Okay, so this week we've got a little bit easier set of time tasks, but again, as normal, we will check out what's new. So we've actually had an update to 1.1.5 this week, but it really doesn't seem like they've made a huge number of changes, at least nothing that I've noticed, although the blacksmith did move on my map. He's normally over here, and now he's here, so that's different. And I've not got as many little green bushes that give me the herbs around. So there have been some minor changes. I don't know if that's intentional or they just move them around to give everyone a bit more of a go. But yeah. Anyway, let's check out what's new. So in the patch notes for 1.1.5, we've got... We're happy to introduce the 1.1.5 update. We've fixed bugs in the weekly time tasks. We've seen some of those before, like when you're using potions and they don't count as using a potion. I think that was the case with the Swift potion last week. When you're using, when you're defeating certain monsters and you don't have to use the oil that they said, and you get credit for it, which I think we also saw last week. If you killed the Venomous Arrakis spores, then you didn't have to use any cursed oil. So they're presumably the types of bugs that they've fixed. I can safely say I haven't seen any bugs with this week's time task, so maybe they've done a good job. We fixed a bug in the Sword in the Stone quest where the time of dusk was not displayed correctly. That is a big one. I've actually had a couple of questions back on my Sword in the Stone quest videos this week about that specifically, so hopefully that's fixed that for those people. And we've introduced other minor fixes. I don't really like how they don't go into detail in that, because I'd love to know what they are. And we've improved the gameplay. I've still got, since the update, that laggy. If you've seen it before, when you start a battle and the thing's super slow and it's just pretty much unusable. I've still got that since the update, so they haven't fixed that. So I'm not sure what gameplay they've improved, but anyway, let's check out the Monster Week Arachase. Witcher, this week is overflowing with Arachase. Each and every one of them. I can't fight them off alone. I need you to step in. If you want to be victorious, head to your time tasks and dive right into the battle. Trust your senses. Remember, usually found in green areas, old growth forests, woods, groves, and meadows. Prefers to avoid human settlements. Significantly increased activity during precipitation, such as rain, and increased activity around dawn. That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't say that on any of the monsters, but I will check. But anyway... Oh, this is something that I've seen there since the beginning of the month and really wanted to point out. This here is the 26th. And the 26th is when Arachase week starts. So I'm quite confused why the picture for it is for another monster that I can't pronounce. Now, it's not like they're super off. They're both insectoids, but I believe that that one shown there is a Scolipendromorph, not an Arachase, which is obviously not, because it doesn't look anything like it. It is an insectoid, so they've got the class right, but they have not got the monster right. And I just thought that was pretty funny. I don't know whether they meant to do these, or someone who did that just got the picture wrong, but it's entertaining nonetheless. But anyway, let's check out the time task for this week. So this week I found, as you can possibly see from me scrolling through my completed list here, quite a bit easier than most weeks. These monsters seem to be around. Obviously a lot more near parks and meadows and things like that. I found plenty of them today in just even small parks. So whereas things like the Venomous Arrakis didn't seem to be spawning in the small parks, maybe because they're a rare monster, I've seen plenty of Arachase spawning in the parks as of today. In the big parks, obviously more often, but in the little parks as well as randomly, not an extensive amount, but I've seen some spawning around city-ish areas. Now, they might be city-ish areas with a small park in them or near them that I just didn't see, and so that's why they're there, but it also might just be that they're around generally as well. These are common monsters, so they're going to be everywhere. The common ones are some of the easiest time tasks that we have. But anyway, kill 50 of them in total. I mean, you need to kill at least 8 if you want to finish off these other specific time tasks, but yeah. Kill 10 Arachase while using insectoid oil. Now, I will go over this in more detail in some of my videos because I've realized after I've recorded some of them that even though I used the insectoid oil, it didn't seem to give me the credit for using it. Now, I don't know if that's a bug, but I'll explain it further in a bit. Kill 2 common Arachase using only signs. So for the rest of these, I've got video demonstrations, and we're going to look at those now. Okay, so for this first one, we're looking to kill a common Arachase using only signs, or 1 common Arrakis. Now, the first one of these that I've come across is in a Nemeton. So I'm going to be using my insectoid oil, and I've put on a swift and a swallow potion. Now, I think I've also used my Manticore steel sword, but I didn't show that. So I've used that for the cooldown reduction. Now, I didn't show the whole of the Nemeton because actually doing this bit is slow if we're killing it using only signs. So as you can see, the Manticore steel sword's reducing the cooldown reduction a little bit. My swift and my swallow potion are keeping me alive. And I'm just casting spells whenever they're available. Because I'm a high level and I've got the last item in the signs one, sometimes my cooldowns reset immediately. So that was just me testing out hard to see which one's going to do damage. But for me at the moment, it is Igni that's doing the most damage. So I'll probably just continue to cast Igni. Actually, saw the damage that came off of it last time, but in general you are allowed to block, so that will help keep your health up as well. But I found that the Igni, the swift and the swallow potion were essential for keeping me alive during this. Now, if you do this during the night time, you could use a cat potion to make this easier, because that not only affects melee damage, it also affects sign damage. If it's raining, you could use a squall potion. If it's raining and nighttime, you could use both. But in general, you just want to avoid the stupid hand gestures that the game is suggesting that we do, because it thinks, oh, you're fighting a monster. You want to be attacking it with a sword, even though very specifically this time task asks us not to use a sword and only to use signs. But if we have a quick look now, you can see that we've done that first one using only signs. So that was our common monster. Next, we're going to move on to our next monster, which is to kill a Hermit Arrakis using only bombs. So again, most of this is down to the preparation. So I have picked the Dawnbringer sword because it is nighttime and it increases the damage dealt by everything, so it's going to increase our damage slightly. Now, at this point, I was using the insectoid oil for 2 reasons. One, because you need to use it as part of the second task, kill 10 Arachase using insectoid oil. But I was also using it because at the time I thought it increased the damage that would have been dealt by the bombs. I was completely wrong in thinking that because I looked at it later and it does not. Now, further to that, I don't think it even gave me credit for using it. It still used my potion, but because I didn't actually perform a melee attack, because I'm not supposed to, I don't think it gave me credit for using that potion in these time tasks, which is why, even though I've killed more than 8 monsters, I've only got up to 6 credits for doing the insectoids. But as you can see here, the swallow potion is keeping us alive, the blocking is keeping us alive, and I was just spamming basic bombs. You can use any of the other bombs. Literally any of the other bombs will deal more damage and will deal it faster. And as you can see, obviously we've got that completed now. So yeah, the other bombs will do it faster, so you won't need to survive as long. Again, things like the cat and the squall potion will increase the damage of the bombs as well. So if it's nighttime or if it's that, you can add those in to do this a little bit quicker. But I had quite a lot of basic bombs to get rid of, since I pretty much don't use them and I needed more bag space. I was just using them all up this time. Next, we have the most difficult out of the Arachas that we've got to fight this week, the Royal Arrakis. So this one we have to perform without, we have to defeat without performing any melee attacks. So that is basically the top 2 combined. So without, only using signs and only using bombs. So we can use signs and bombs because the only thing that we're not allowed to use is melee attacks. So in our preparation, it is essential for us to use, in my opinion, both the Swift and the Swallow potion. Now you're going to also need to block. Now I also, again in this example, am using the insectoid oil, but again, because we're not using melee attacks, I don't think it gave me any credit. So we're just going to use a few bombs here. One, because I have quite a few to use up. We're allowed to block, so you're allowed to get your perfect parries. And we're just going to throw bombs, and we're going to cast signs, and we're going to defend, and we're going to let the Swift and the Swallow potion keep us alive while we get hit constantly. And that's about it, really. You just do this until it is over. It's obviously a lot slower than attacking using the sword because you can't perform constant attacks all the time, but you will get through it eventually if you persist. Again, like before, if you want to use any other potions, then you can. You can use a cat potion, and you can use a squall potion. Cat for if it's night, squall for if it's raining. But my personal preference for these is to use the Swift and the Swallow because it keeps you alive pretty much no matter what. You would have to fail quite a lot of blocks before it would start to get your health down if you're using both of these potions. Again, if you want to make this faster, I had lots of basic bombs to get rid of, so that is why I am using those. But if you wanted to do this a bit quicker, you could use any of the other bombs, especially any of the bombs that this is weak to, and it highlights them in the bomb choice when you select it on the preparation screen. So we are very nearly there. This is certainly the longest and most time-consuming one. I was a bit lucky to get quite a few sign resets in that, but eventually we got there. It was just a bit long and annoying. And again, if we open up our time tasks, you can see that we have met the criteria for that. So that is our Royal Arrakis using anything but melee attacks. Alright, and for the last one that is requested, this was probably the easiest one in my opinion. So this is the Venomous Arrakis, and we are defeating this monster without dealing any fire damage. So basically, you can use your swords, you can use your signs, you can use anything. So I am just using my Manticore Steel Sword, it gives me cooldown reduction. I'm not using my new Incandescent Heart Sword. We're just doing the battle like we normally do. I did use a insectoid oil on this one just to do it a little bit quicker, but just don't cast Digny and don't use Incandescent Heart or Melith on it, and you're good to go. So again, I'll open it up and I'll show that we did that, but it was the quickest and easiest one that we have done so far. Alright, that was the time task for the week. They are all pretty easy. So I explained as we went about using the insectoid oil, and that if you're not doing any melee attacks, it doesn't seem to accept that you've used it, even though you've used it in the battle, because I guess technically you didn't use it if it increases melee attacks and you're not doing any. So maybe save those ones for when you're fighting anything normally, not trying to do any of the specific time tasks, or if you are doing the Venomous Arrakis. But yeah, let me know what you think of this week's time tasks. They're certainly a lot easier in my opinion, and the monsters are a lot more readily available than last week. Let me know how you went last week, whether you managed to finish all the tasks off. I did finish last week. I thought it was... I thought the spawn rate was better than for the previous week, which was the Kikimor Warrior. That might just be because there are a lot more biomes around that are appropriate for the Vizimian Archerspore spawns than there were for the Kikimor Warrior spawns. Although I spent a lot of time down at the river and I did not end up with that many. So yeah, I think hopefully they've realized how bad that event was and how many people really didn't like it, and they've increased the spawn rate going forward for the rare ones. But only time will tell. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.